If you've ever packed up an entire house and wondered, why on earth am I moving all of this stuff? Then you already understand the importance of decluttering before a move. And if you're watching this video, you want to declutter faster. But here's where most people get stuck. They think that decluttering faster means working harder, and in most cases, it simply means overthinking less. Because one of the main reasons why decluttering in general, but especially before a move, feels so overwhelming is overthinking. And it's overthinking not just the big decisions, but all the little ones too. Like, what if I need this someday? Or do you think I should sell this or maybe just donate it? Or why don't I just put all this stuff in a corner and come back to it later? When every single item becomes a 5-minute debate, it's easy to see how decluttering can become overwhelming very quickly. And after helping hundreds of people through this process, I've noticed that the ones who make the fastest progress are not the ones trying to do it perfectly. They are the ones who've learned to stop mentally spinning over every single item and instead make simpler, more confident decisions. So in this video, I want to walk you through 7 ways to make decluttering before a move feel faster, simpler, and a whole lot less mentally exhausting. These are the real mindset shifts and the practical changes that I've seen help real people make real progress without burning themselves out in the process. And the first one is probably the biggest mistake that I see, and that is trying to declutter your entire house at once. The first way to declutter faster for a move is to stop trying to declutter your entire house at once. Now, it sounds backwards to say that if you want to go faster, you have to start smaller, but it's true. I've seen it over and over again. Here's what usually happens if you try to declutter the whole house at once. You go out to the garage and you think about all the clutter that's out there. Then you go to the kitchen and you think about all of that clutter. Then you find yourself in the attic or the basement or a closet thinking about all of that clutter. And at some point, it's just too much to process. So you get overwhelmed and your brain starts to shut down because we were never meant to make that many decisions at once. You have to make the whole thing smaller. When you look at the whole house at once, your brain immediately jumps to, this is too much. I don't know where to start. I'll never finish in time. And as soon as your brain starts to believe that the project is impossible, it shuts down. And it starts working against you and giving you all sorts of reasons why you shouldn't even try. That's why it's important to stop thinking about decluttering the entire house. We are not decluttering the whole house. We're decluttering one drawer, one cabinet, or one shelf. That's it. Start smaller than you think you need to. Smaller spaces create faster momentum, and momentum is what is going to propel you forward. Momentum matters way more than intensity, and it definitely matters more than motivation. Motivation is a liar. People think that they're going to wait for motivation to strike in order to start decluttering, but that's not the way that it works. You know what makes you have motivation? Momentum. And what creates momentum is seeing progress. That progress starts from getting started, but you have to start really small. So here's what I would recommend. Pick one drawer in your kitchen or your bathroom. Go there, open the drawer, take everything out of it, wipe out the drawer, and now you're looking at a clean, empty drawer. Everything that you have taken out of that drawer is now in a pile. Look at the pile and decide, is there anything here that I'm going to sell? My threshold for selling stuff is usually $50. I ask myself, is there anything in this pile that's worth $50 or more? If so, I'm going to set it to the side and I will try to sell it. Your threshold might be different. It might be $20 or $100, whatever it may be. Put aside the things that you might want to sell. Now look at the rest of that pile. Everything else that's in that pile is now going to go one of 3 places. It's either going to go straight into the garbage if it's garbage, it's going to go into a donation box if you're going to donate it, or if you want to keep it, it's going back into the drawer. Now I can hear you already saying, wait a minute, isn't that like making more work for myself because I took it out of the drawer and I want to keep it, so I'm putting it back in the drawer, but I'm going to have to take it out again to pack it. And the answer is, this is the fastest way to pack. Trust me, I've moved 10 times in 10 years and I do this for a living. So we have to keep decluttering and packing separate. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more in a minute. But right now we are not packing, we are decluttering. And if you declutter first before you pack, packing is going to go so much faster. So no, you are not creating more work for yourself by taking the things out of the drawer and then putting them back. What you are doing is ensuring that everything that is in that drawer is something that you want to keep, and that is going to be super important when it comes time to pack. The second way to declutter faster before a move is to stop doing marathon decluttering sessions. A lot of times people think, I'm going to start decluttering as soon as I have a free weekend, or as soon as I have a large block of time, or as soon as I have more energy, or life slows down. And that's just really not the way that it works. For most people, those perfect decluttering days either never happen or they become completely exhausting. So instead, try something more sustainable. Set a timer. I know it sounds really basic and simple, but I promise you that it works. Give yourself a stopping point before you even start. Maybe it's 10 minutes or 20 minutes or an hour. But as long as you know that there's going to be an end and you have permission to stop when the timer goes off, then you're much more likely to get started. And you'll find that you make a lot more progress if you declutter in short bursts like that. Taking lots of breaks is the secret to going faster, especially when you're trying to make thousands of decisions, or you're processing grief or loss or trauma, or you're trying to balance a job outside the home as well as all the things that you have to do at home. That's all a lot to process all at the same time. So when you make your decluttering sessions shorter, you will get done a lot faster. You don't need the perfect system before you begin. All you need is a black garbage bag and a place to start. When in doubt, start in the kitchen or in the bathroom because those are the least sentimental areas in your home. Start small, set a timer, and you will find that you make progress faster than you ever thought possible. The third way to declutter faster for a move is to stop organizing. Now, when I say this, a lot of times people get confused because they think, well, wait a minute, I thought I was here to learn how to organize. No, decluttering and organizing are two separate things, and sometimes people get them confused. And the good news is that you don't need any special equipment to declutter. So here's what often happens. People will tell me, hey, I channeled my inner Sheila and I decided to start decluttering. And so they'll show me something like this. I went and bought a bunch of these, and so that means I'm going to declutter. My friend, I'm going to hold your hand when I say this. This is not decluttering. This is organizing, and that is a completely different activity. You don't need anything special to declutter. All you need is one of these, something to hold your garbage. That's it. That's the only piece of equipment that you need to declutter, because decluttering and organizing are not the same thing. Decluttering is simply the act of deciding what am I keeping and what am I letting go of. That's it. And I get it. It's really fun to go out and buy bins and drawer organizers and cute little shelves and baskets and all the things. But what you're really doing is just moving your clutter around. So you have to declutter first before you organize. You also have to declutter first before you pack. Otherwise, you're just making more work for yourself. Think about it this way. If you tried to clean out your refrigerator at the same time as driving to the grocery store, you wouldn't be able to do them both at the same time. They are related tasks. It's really important to clean out your refrigerator and look and see what you have to find out what you need from the store. Then you go to the store and get the stuff that you need. That's kind of the same way with decluttering and packing or decluttering and organizing. They're all separate activities, and keeping them separate will be really kind to your brain because your brain only can focus on one at a time. Right now, we're just focusing on decluttering. That's it. That's why I always keep decluttering and packing as two separate events. I saw an article the other day that said if you want to really move fast, you declutter while you're packing, and I could not disagree more. I think if you declutter first, the packing will go much faster. So really the way to pack faster and move faster and even to organize faster is to declutter first. The fourth way to declutter faster for a move is to stop starting with the hardest categories. So a lot of people accidentally make decluttering harder than it needs to be by starting with things that are really sentimental, like photographs and scrapbooks and family albums and kids' artwork. All of those things are really emotionally heavy and they take a different kind of energy. Even if the memories are happy ones, you still find yourself going down memory lane and all of a sudden you've spent an afternoon looking at photos and not really decluttering anything in your house. Easy categories will help you build momentum first, and then that momentum will help you to go faster. That's why I always recommend starting with things like expired food in your pantry, or used up toiletries in your bathroom, or clothes in your closet that you already know you're never going to wear again or they don't fit. Those are typically easier, faster decisions to make, and the bonus is that they free up space faster typically than working on photographs. You could spend all afternoon or even days and days working on a pile of photographs and not really feel like you've made any progress. But if you get rid of a chunk of clothes out of your closet or a whole bunch of things out of your pantry, then you can see the progress faster and it's going to give you the momentum to keep going. So I always recommend putting the sentimental items to the side. You can come back to those later after you've gotten rid of some of the other stuff, after you've made some faster wins throughout the rest of your house. Then there will be time to come back to the sentimental items later. The fifth way to declutter faster for a move is to stop creating giant maybe piles. Now, maybe piles are one of the sneakiest forms of clutter. Maybe even in the process of decluttering, you've put some stuff to the side because you're going to come back to it later. That's normal. It's normal to have a few things in a maybe pile. But when that pile starts to get out of control and it gets really huge, that's usually a sign that you're delaying making some decisions. And delayed decisions still take up mental space because your brain remembers that you still have to decide about that stuff. So too many delayed decisions or too many things in the maybe pile creates mental clutter. And if we're being honest, most maybe piles never get revisited. They just get moved from room to room, from box to box, from house to house, sometimes for years. That's why smaller maybe piles force clearer decisions. If you've ever watched any of Dana K. White's videos, she talks about the container concept, where you give yourself a container and whatever fits in the container is the stuff that you're keeping, and if it doesn't fit, you have to decide about it. So it's the same thing with your maybe pile. You can absolutely have a maybe pile or a maybe box, but just give yourself some parameters for it, give yourself some limits, and whatever doesn't fit, you have to either give it away, throw it away, sell it, get it out of there, instead of just having giant maybe piles everywhere. Because when you have all these maybe piles, you feel like you're making progress, and really you're not. You're just going to postpone that feeling of being overwhelmed. I think sometimes maybe piles give us the illusion of safety, like we're protecting ourselves from regret. And they also feel productive because we feel like, well, I didn't really get rid of it, I didn't really make a decision about it, but I moved it, so hey, at least I'm being productive, right? But the truth is that a lot of stuff that's in the maybe pile is there because of fear or guilt or regret. So we're going to talk about this a little bit more in a minute, but it's so important to learn to trust yourself when you're decluttering, and that comes from practice. The more you do it, the more you'll learn to trust your decisions, go with your gut, don't second guess or overthink anything, just make a decision and move on. The faster you make the decisions, the faster everything is going to go. And the more stuff you have in the maybe pile, the more overwhelmed you're going to be later. So remember, keep a limit on the maybe pile. If you've gotten any value out of this video so far, it would mean the world to me if you would hit that subscribe button so that I can reach more people and help more people. Thank you so much. Let's keep going. The sixth way to declutter faster for a move is to stop treating every item like a major life decision. One of the reasons why decluttering can feel so emotionally exhausting is that we're treating every single item like a life or death decision. So everything becomes a memory, a what if, a future scenario, an heirloom that we don't want to make a decision about. Let me give an example of how this happened to me. We've moved 10 times in 10 years. I have some things that I moved with me from house to house, box to box, all 10 times. One of those things was this antique rolling pin. It was wooden, it was broken, the handles came off, it was splintered, so you couldn't really use it as a rolling pin. I didn't really want to display it anywhere because it didn't look very pretty, but it belonged to my great-grandfather, and so I wanted to keep it. So after the 10th move, I called my mom and said, hey, can you tell me more about the story about this rolling pin? And she said, what rolling pin? And I was like, oh yeah, you know this wooden rolling pin that belonged to my great-grandfather. And she said, I don't know what you're talking about. And I explained the story to her, which I swear I had heard somewhere along the way that this rolling pin belonged to my great-grandfather. It turns out it didn't. It didn't belong to anyone special. I mean, I'm sure whoever originally owned it was very special, as we all are, but it didn't have any special connection to my family. So I had been carrying this hunk of wood to 10 different houses, thinking it was a family heirloom, and it wasn't. It was literally just a wooden rolling pin. It was a piece of wood. So I was finally able to let it go when I realized it didn't really matter to anyone. So the question that I find most helpful when I'm decluttering to keep me from overthinking is this: in 100 years, who will care what happened to this item? The reason I kept the rolling pin is that I thought it would matter to someone down the road. I thought that they would enjoy the story. Turns out it didn't really matter at all. So with most of the stuff in our house, it's really not that high stakes. We think that it's so important. We think we have to get all the decisions exactly right, but they're really not that important. In 100 years, who will care? In 100 years, who will care what happened to this stuff? When you ask yourself that one question, looking at that pile of clutter will make it go a lot faster, because you'll realize very little of it matters at all. A lot of people approach decluttering feeling like they have to pressure themselves or shame themselves or push themselves, and that's simply not true. One of my viewers commented, "Who knew I could be gentle with myself?" And that comment made my day, because I'm always reminding people, be very gentle with yourself in this process. You are more important than the stuff. You are more important than any stuff. So make whatever decision you need to make about the stuff. You're going to get it right, because there's really no right or wrong. So just make a decision, trust yourself enough to make that decision, and then move forward. You are more important than any of that stuff that you're making decisions about. Don't forget that. The seventh way to declutter faster before a move is to stop keeping things for a future fantasy version of yourself. So a lot of times we keep things because we're holding on to some version of ourselves that either no longer exists or maybe it never did exist. We keep things like all of the craft supplies for those unfinished projects, or the material for that quilt that we never finished, the clothes that we're probably not going to fit back into anytime soon, all the workout equipment that we bought thinking this would be the one that would actually help us get in shape and it didn't. all of this stuff. And the more we look at it, the more we feel guilt and shame. And we think about the money that we spent and we beat ourselves up. And we tell ourselves, maybe if I hold on to this stuff, I'm going to achieve the goal. You have permission to let go of anything that is not serving you, the current version of you, the today version of you. The today version of you is the only one that matters. It's the only one that lives in this house with you right now, and that's the only version of you that's going with you into the new house. So you don't have to keep anything that was for a past or former version of you, or anything that was for a future fantasy self. Sometimes this stuff just weighs us down with guilt and with shame and with regret, and it's time to let all of that stuff go. When you declutter the stuff, you can release all of the emotions and all of the guilt that goes with it. One of my viewers commented, I come back every few months thinking that there won't be anything else to get rid of, and then I find a bunch of other things that leave my house. And I think that's really a good point, to understand that we are always evolving, and so the stuff around us will change, because your likes and your tastes and your interests will change over time, and that's all okay. It's part of being alive, is that you get to change and the stuff around you gets to change, because that stuff is there to serve you and not the other way around. So let go of anything that is no longer serving you. This isn't about becoming a perfect minimalist. It's about continuing to make space for the life ahead of you, because this next chapter that you're moving into deserves some breathing room, and so do you. So the goal here is not perfection. It's less stress, more peace, and less mental exhaustion from all of these decisions that you're constantly surrounded with. Because the truth is, all of this stuff, every piece of clutter, is a decision that has to be made. And the more of it that you can let go of, especially before you move, the fewer decisions you'll have to make on the other end, the more peaceful your new place will feel. Life is too short to be weighed down by things that no longer serve us, and moving is one of the best excuses to let it go. If you need more support with your move, here are a couple of ways that I can help you. I have a course with really short, bite-sized videos where I walk you through everything you need to know to declutter, pack, downsize, and prepare for your move, and I will link that down in the description below. It comes with a full-color workbook, 25 pages, that's got checklists and everything that you need to know so you don't forget anything. I also offer one-on-one sessions on Zoom where I can help you declutter, downsize, stage your house, whatever it is that's holding you back, I can help you get unstuck. I will link that also in the description. Or if you want to keep watching YouTube videos, be sure to check out this one right here. I'll meet you there.